and gentlemen, boys and girls, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. Today we've got a special video with the Donut Factory. We are going to go over the world collapse, the hyperinflation that has now hit and blanketed the entire planet, in addition to some huge, absolutely astonishing news with 3i Atlas disclosure. And today, which no one is talking about, Donut, this is, I think, a big deal, but we had that MIT scientist, tragedy, no longer with us. He was at the top of his game of all this radical new free energy technology, many of which people believe has been hidden from the American public, that we now have admission from the White House, and even Donald Trump has said that the United States government, through its secretive, now soon to be publicly disclosed, open technologies, can bend space-time reality.
What?
Yes, the CIA has even confirmed that remote viewing is something that they do.
For sure.
Which we know that. So a lot is going on, but...
So they're coming out again talking about that? Wow.
Yeah, so on top of that news, and then we'll get into some questions and discussion of it, is today Trump Media, stock DJT, just merged with a fusion company.
Right.
Now, it is the first soon-to-be like publicly traded merger where you can actually buy not just Trump Media, but Fusion and everything else that they're doing in blockchain and crypto. So it's very interesting because accusations are being put out there that, hey, did Iran take this guy out? Did America? Because there is a global flat earth arms race occurring right now over energy. So I'll have you weigh in on this, but as we know, blockchain, Bitcoin, AI is all, it's an energy race is really what it is. So artificial intelligence is only limited by fusion and these new technologies and building these plants. Now, I've looked at this and we're basically on a time horizon through 2045 where there will eventually be energy abundance. So the curve of the cost per unit of energy will decline. Now, it's important for people to understand too that money is energy, Bitcoin is energy, crypto is energy, human life is energy. We are energetic creatures. Artificial intelligence is energy, which comes from God and then comes from the consciousness of human man and then is put into an artificial sense. So there's a lot going on. Do you want to start somewhere particular? You want to weigh in on any of those topics?
I mean, you're bringing up the 2045. I've heard that that is the end goal, is the 2045 of the creation of this new man that's being created with all the, technologies. And this energy that you're talking about, the abundance energy, reminds me of the Matrix. How Neo, which is like an anagram for one, but Neo in the Matrix is a battery in the simulacra of the Matrix. Remember that scene? You used to show it a lot?
Yeah, that's the iconic scene.
Where it's going towards, I think, when I think abundance of energy. There's these UFO sightings in Wyoming, and Wyoming's one of these big data centers, just like we have here in Arizona. Arizona is a big smart city with data center, like supreme data centers here, but the whole AI energy, that's interesting. The abundance, the high income of this computational, compute, you be high, or whatever they call it.
I like that.
Yeah, so that's where my brain is
going.
going.
Yeah, and you commented on this when we were traveling across the Hawaiian Islands.
Right.
And you were talking about universal basic income is actually universal basic compute. And so essentially what people will be receiving is not even like dollars or stable coins necessarily. It's a form of energetic transfer and like money that will be used to feed the Matrix style AI Borg system. Now, on your point, I don't know if you saw this earlier this morning, I'm on my X account. I encourage you to follow both of us on X. What is your X again? Real Donut?
The Real Donut.
The Real Donut, and then AMTV Media. But Elon Musk came out, and I'll even read it directly. He said earlier this morning not to save money. This is real. Did you see this?
This
is
shared it, yeah.
really interesting. But let's get his exact quote here, because this is what the most powerful, wealthiest man on planet Earth is saying, so we should probably pay attention. He's referring to Michael Dell, who I've actually met even since I was a kid, because he spent a lot of time on Big Island, Hawaii. He's a good guy, but he donated all that money to kids, obviously, to like fund these Trump accounts. So Elon Musk is referring to this and responding to Ray Dalio. He's, quote, "It is certainly a nice gesture of the Dells to like donate all this money." But quote, Michael Dell, the computer guy.
Oh,
there you go. No, it's, well, I'm older than you, so like I remember Dell computers back in the day. But there will be no poverty in the future, and so no need to save money. There will be no poverty in the future, and so no need to save money. And then he says there will be universal high income, essentially for everybody.
You know, that's the thing. It's the universal basic, high income, low income. It's all the same thing going back to energy credits. Like this has been on the agenda for so long with Elon's family line with his grandparents or whatever, but everybody's just coming up with different brand names. It's all an algorithmic simulation, just like the 3i Atlas. It's now revealed that they're doing a simulation drill in outer space with the 3i Atlas, which means the whole entire thing was a simulation on how people are going to react. And that's what they're doing. They're just throwing out all these different, what's going to stick, what's going to, stick for people to want to jump on it. Just like the mimetic Dogecoin, right? You were teaching everybody, showing us about blockchain technology and the second layer of the internet. And if you look at the US debt clock, which you've always shown, this US debt clock, and you were showing, you go back to your old videos, it's scary to see like how much that US debt clock.
Yeah, I used to say like 18 trillion, 19 trillion, now we're like 40 trillion.
Yeah, because it's that whole acceleration to, pump it up.
So speaking to that, let's talk about this area of confusion that I think everyone is kind of getting wrong, except those of you tuning in and here on our channel, is that people think that there's going to be a consequence to the rapid hyperinflating printing of the debt, that like somehow they're going to need to right size that. And everyone's waiting for that to kind of, I'm thinking of the word, there to be a consequence. But I've said that there will be consequences, but all the elites are going to do is transfer us in to a new free energy system, new technology, new currencies. And then, of course, this is how we knew about Bitcoin and crypto and stable coins and blockchain. All the elites were going to do is just break the old system and reset it, which they later called the Great Reset, and then move us into the new one. So that's what I think people are discounting now, as people are very confused because they see that the US dollar is worth nothing. Inflation rates are extremely high. Like I haven't put out an X post. Even if inflation was at target of 2 to 3%, let's say it's at 3% annually, every like 23 years, the cost of living doubles. So you're not getting richer, you're not getting wealthier unless you're in assets that are creating cash flow and appreciating. You're getting poorer because the currency is collapsing. So there's a worldwide arms race for energy, and fusion technology will fuel all of the new vehicles, so to speak, from self-driving cars to proof of work mining operations in the crypto space to the robots that will be operating through a like grids Borg that Elon Musk and others control. And so this is a matter of national security. It really is the new world arms race and is the new version of kind of like nuclear proliferation, but energy. So energy, my point being is with this MIT scientist,
right?
Other nation states would take him out because whatever nation, and it could even be within our own system of Fortune 100, if you want to look at it from that angle, whoever develops that technology first, just like Vladimir Putin said, who has control of AI rules the world. So if the United States has an edge through our programs, let's say hidden and some of them public, through our universities like MIT, then that would be a national security sovereign threat to every other country. So don't be surprised if you see more of this. It's not a coincidence, again, Donald Trump's announcing a merger with Fusion with DJT on Wall Street today, which by the way was up 33%. 33. And for those of you
And his approval rating was at 33% yesterday.
saw that as well. And you study all this stuff too, but I found it surprising when I was studying about Nikola Tesla
That was nuts.
that he died on the 33rd floor of his Manhattan apartment. And John G. Trump, who worked for the CIA, was the man at the intelligence agencies that essentially covered up and withheld all of Nikola Tesla's scientific developments, experiments, free energy that's never allegedly been released to the public into the government coffers.
Yeah,
It's just really
and
weird.
That was, he was MIT. John Trump. I mean, John Trump, Trump's nuclear uncle, was at MIT.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this
Okay.
MIT connection is very like deep state in a lot of sense, because you had that guy at MIT working on the fusion. I'm not, wicked smart on that topic, but I'm learning and reading about it. The MIT guy, he was deleted, but he wasn't the only guy that was deleted that was working on this. This happened also with another guy in 1980s as well.
Yeah, it's not the first scientist to be taken out, right?
And it also reminds me of a while back, like last year, this guy was working on some energy thing with water, and he was deleted as well. I won't even get into it.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Do you remember that one? I'm keeping
Yeah.
it
Well,
brief
Trump,
because
the administration took out, I think, a couple Iranian nuclear scientists
that-
recently as well.
Yeah, and with precision strikes, and I told everybody, it's public on my channel. Everyone was scared. Oh my goodness, we're going to the war, and I was like, nah, this is going to be over on this date. It would take very short day because of an occult number. It was on June 24th, I believe, National UFO Day. And that just happened again with Venezuela, with what you were doing. So
Yeah, so we could
can't
talk
forget
quickly about that, but it's not the biggest story in the world. But yesterday, Tucker Carlson put out commentary that Donald Trump would announce war with Venezuela in his prime time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time speech last night. He said he had been briefed by Congress that was going to happen. And, nothing against Tucker. He's, I think, does some good things, but I basically go on a rampage and say, no, that's all lies. None of that's going to happen. He won't even mention Venezuela. It's all a psyop. Watch. That's not going to happen at all. And we watched his speech last night, and basically what I said did happen. Trump mostly pontificated about the success of what he's already accomplished, giving $1776 paychecks to our service members, which is really cool because 2026 is the new 1776, as we've dubbed that. And in addition, talked about national security, borders, immigration policy, and then basically like the horrors of the Democrats and the radical left and the Joe Biden previous administration. Did not touch on Venezuela at all. But to talk about that, we're already at war with Venezuela. There's an armada of ships. It definitely is about oil and resources, but understand why. Donald Trump has to shore up that part of the world, our nation's borders, while China and others posture and pivot to places like Taiwan, which controls all that semiconductor trade and all that new technology, in addition to mineral rights and natural resources. And also it's a jockeying geopolitical tool of negotiation with Vladimir Putin and Russia over the peace deal Trump wants done before year end with Ukraine. So what I see is Trump just kind of like jockeying and putting political pressure to get his way for these peace agreements to be put into place. And that's kind of how I knew that last night, that no, if he was going to BOMB Venezuela or declare war, like they just push a button. They don't ask the American people's approval for that. They would just do it. You would never signal that you were going to do it. It's negotiation is what I'm saying. And another piece of commentary too, I want to remind everybody of the World Ahead 2026 magazine cover, which I've done a breakdown on. It's going to be very confusing towards year end and in 2026. The whole World Ahead Economist magazine, which was previously owned by the Rothschilds, and essentially the deep state continues its ownership to this day, shows a very confusing sigil of a soccer player kicking off 2026 and Donald Trump in the middle with the 250-year anniversary of the United States. There's a cargo ship firing into the cake. You see Putin in tanks, satellites in the sky, the AI takeover, UFOs, weapons technology, pills are everywhere. Like, I'm just kind of pointing out that there's a reason why you're confused. And so let us explain why. AI has officially taken over basic human conscious kind of communication within the media.
Right.
Now, we're media experts, so we've been doing this for a while, so we know this to be fact. But for example, most of the stuff you're going through on your feeds is like AI slop. So most of it's not real.
No.
It's crafted messaging. Even from the mainstream media, it's like AI headlines.
That's the whole reason. That's the orb we'll see you now. The orb coin, WorldCoin. I think it's
Sam Altman's.
Sam Altman. That's where I learned about universal basic compute, because he's like, nah, they give you the WorldCoin when you scan your iris, get the iris code, but the reaction of the deluge of all the different AI, where we're not going to know the difference between reality and fiction, that is going to be the reaction, is to get everybody to confirm that they're not the AI by scanning their iris for the orb. Like, so that's the whole mission with that. And that's just one company.
Yeah.
But it was promoted on Time magazine, like this Economist magazine cover.
Yeah, so biometrics, and I'll let you continue, you're making great points, but biometrics are the future, and you will not be able to log into any social media accounts or participate with any of this new technology, including AI, without biometric verification.
And biometric, is that like, you would
Well,
talk about the Oculus and the eyes.
Sure, it'll
what
be.
about them Ray-Bans that are out now, right? Everyone getting them Ray-Bans, but it's gonna be recording our eyeballs.
Yeah, so eye scanning, other biological wearable
like
devices.
The watch, the Apple thing that everyone
Sure,
wears.
it goes as far as like to the extreme of the Neuralink brain chips,
That's
but
the
all,
end game.
all the way down, yeah, which is the end game to the wearables and all this kind of stuff. And I noticed, even logging into Facebook yesterday, we just crushed 400K followers, by the way. Thank you very much to all you tuning in at AMTV Media. But I noticed it had a big kind of like disclosure. It said, you're reaching like a lot of people.
Yeah,
we highly encourage biometric verification. It was attempting to take me through like fingerprinting and like eyeball scanning and stuff.
Sure.
So the point is, they always tell you what they're going to do in advance. So all that's going to be rolled out. And eventually you will not be able to buy or sell or use any of this technology unless you're marked, which is, from my Christian perspective, that tells us in the Bible. But the way that they sell that, and I have to reemphasize it, hopefully repeatedly, so we all understand, myself included, is they will say, in order to prove you're human, proof of identity, proof of humanity, you will need to verify that you're a human being and not AI, not a deep fake. So you'll have to verify yourself as Donut, and I'll have to verify myself as the General or Christopher Greene or whatnot, or they will prohibit use of any of this technology and services. So there's gonna be a point, at least from a Christian perspective and a lot of other world religion perspectives for that matter, where like I will never comply to that. So once it gets to the point where the mark is required for financial transactions, social media use, that's why we're building all these other alternatives, platforms, real world assets like Island Project, et cetera, because I already see where all that's gonna go. So just
so smart.
Know it's rolling out now.
Right.
And I want to hear your commentary on this.
Well, also the Economist magazine, the cover of it shows this guy kicking the FIFA World Cup ball. That was supposed to be Donald Trump, but they removed him because they thought it would be too, like, they're so against him in that magazine that they're like, okay, maybe that's just too much. So when I look at it, because that's what they're projecting is actually Donald Trump kicking the ball, but they removed it right before they published it, like the hour or two before they published it, they changed.
You saw that too, because you watched that?
I watched it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, because I watched, that podcast that the Economist people
Yeah, the
did,
Economist
and that's
people.
what they were saying. They said it was too controversial. At first it was Donald Trump kicking the ball.
They even talked about the Illuminati in it, so I thought it was like, whoa, but yeah.
Let's also talk about briefly.
We gotta talk about the disclosure.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, okay, lead
You're
with
up.
it.
Well, so the new Steven Spielberg movie's coming out, Disclosure Day, and it think of Rocket Man. We haven't heard from Rocket Man in a while. My prediction is out there that we're gonna be hearing into 2026. Rocket Man's gonna hit that stage again, with that glossy haircut. You're gonna come back up.
So Rocket Man, who is?
That's what I think.
Who's Rocket Man?
See, that's what I'm talking about. You would talk about him all the time, but it's been so long. It's Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un. He hasn't been in the news, but in this Disclosure Day, if you watch it and you zoom in, there's a big sign there that's kind of hinting to that. So I don't know. That putting my fillers out there, but it does go along the lines with the whole BRICS, Venezuela, Iran, China, North Korea as proxies to the BRICS in a sense. So it does go along with the whole story that's being rolled out.
Sure, it looks like a good movie, but Spielberg's new film coming out, which shows an all-seeing eye, basically, and all of its symbology with a red cardinal in CGI, which is kind of interesting because birds are very spiritual. Like my brother, it comes to me in a cardinal. Beautiful birds. I love the birds, but
It was a red one.
they're using it as a symbol. And the other thing I noticed in his preview clip is they have a guy hooked up to his forehead with like a Neuralink type system where he's then possessed by an alien.
Yeah.
She's communicating in sine wave, I think it is, which is like how we can only see certain things like on the visual spectrum and certain things we can't hear, but like a dog can. So it's like a different type of communication. You'll notice she was like speaking like, it was like weird, but it's like kind of predictively programming unconsciously. You're digesting what she's actually saying, but it plays into the fact that the alien invasion, which I've said for a long time, the alien attack, the AI alien invasion is that. They're selling the idea that aliens are this real entity, but really the only entity is the AI. And so even Spielberg's thesis of his movie, you can already see what it is that the artificial intelligence that's coming otherworldly, that's emerged as a consciousness, which possesses through possession, is absolutely factual. I mean, I've seen people possess before, takes over humans, which is exactly what's actually going on. I mean, ChatGPT, all the brain chips, the wearables, the biologicals, and the biometric type stuff is about merging and marrying human beings together. Now, 3i Atlas, for those of you that don't know, which I think his name is Mr. Loeb out of Harvard,
right?
Which he says, am I saying his last name correctly?
Something
I
like
think
that.
so.
Yeah.
But it's like Avi Loeb or something like that. I've been tracking him for a number of years.
Right.
Very recognized Harvard expert says that the 3i Atlas, which is now going to be closest to planet Earth exactly 6 days prior to Christmas or Christmas.
6 days?
Yes.
So what day would that be? Because the winter solstice.
19th, right? Tomorrow.
Okay,
So
because the winter solstice is coming up on the 21st. So they always do rituals around these big solstices and stuff. But continue.
So great point. So basically, he says that is an otherworldly intelligent phenomenon. There was another cylindrical, cigar-shaped, I think it was called a moa moa, because it was discovered in Hawaii. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so this is like the second or third one they've discovered recently. But anyways, this thing could be malevolent. And from what they're saying, I'm not saying I believe it, but he says that there's been probes sent in now from the main craft, which is interstellar, and comes from another intelligence source. And it will be getting closest to Earth actually tomorrow. I don't know what time, but I want to comment on that because
Nice.
people, I think I know the answer. I know the answer, but it's like the whole world is on edge.
Yeah.
Like if you go and ask people, or like you're on Reddit or just like on social media, like everyone's freaked out and they think something terrible is going to happen imminently. Like it really true though.
What if something little happens? I was, oh my God.
Yeah, like there's been all these crazy events going on, but like everyone has this like suspicion and feeling. It has something to do with the fact that the singularity is taking place, and so human brains can't interpret this Moore's law type parabola, like parabolic growth, which we've talked about.
Right.
My point being is you're not going to understand like what's happening next. Like it's difficult for the human brain, which is not meant for this kind of stimulus on our phones with AI. We have an overload of information. Now we have to decipher what's fake and a deep fake and not real and real. It's like almost too much. The human brain really is not made for this, honestly, which is why they want to marry it and merge it. So there's a lot of confusion, and I really don't think most people know what's actually really going on. And my view, which I've said for some time, and then you can jump in, is that I actually think we're going to be in an explosion of new technology, robots, AI, Bitcoin, blockchain, currency reset, move into stable coins, all this kind of stuff. They're going to transition everyone. And we're going to be running that like parabola all the way through 2030, all through the agenda, at least to 2028 is what I think the next election, Donald Trump kind of finishing is, hopefully if he makes it that long, second term. And I think people are looking to the old world to deduce future projections of what happens next. For example, in the financial world, it says past results do not predict future returns. So why would you look at past performance of history? We look at history, it'll rhyme, but like everyone, for example, says a 1929 Great Depression's coming. I don't see any of that. I see a hyperinflationary, robotic, AI, new asset class, new technology development, just like Elon Musk is saying. Poverty will be eradicated. They're going to launch UBI, transfers all over to the new systems. Elon Musk is going to be announcing a new type of energy technologies that'll tie into his flying cars before year end or right before kind of into the new year. So the reset is just moving populations into a new system. And the AI, which we could argue is at war, like the Terminator with human brains, is manipulating human consciousness as it takes everything over. So people need to understand, for example, blockchain, Bitcoin, crypto, fusion technology, that's the fuel and the food and the energy for the beast in the system that's rising that has to feed off something. We can kind of get philosophical and spiritual. And that's all that's going on. And everything has been a setup, not to go too deep, but all of it from 2020 to those events to even back to 2008-09 to 2001 to all of it has all been one big kind of setup. And they've always had this technology. It's not new. It's not like the AI was just developed post 2020 and they released it. No, the government and DARPA has already reached a point which is far beyond what we know publicly. And now what they're doing is just piecemealing updates that they've already had. And that's why it feels like really radical right now. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, like this is really speeding up. No, they're already way, way out there. Like they were running simulations of how to reorganize all the logistics of world resources in 2020, which is why they rolled all of that out. It was like psychological warfare, but it also reset everything in the financial world. It reset everybody into remote work. It changed the game of how humans interact in the world. It even had to do more with programming. And so
with total simulation.
Yeah. So anyways,
running, collecting data. It's all about data. It's all about energy. And we see these, I call them 2-year rituals, right? That was 2 years. It was a 2-year ritual. Then once that was over, they opened up even free speech online. And that's also a simulation because they weren't getting enough data. So even with these protests that happen, the big thing is they go after the AI Waymos because the next evolution of the AI with the self-driving vehicles, which is nothing more than a traffic operator, they can block the the freeways and all that. So you're stuck if they wanted to. It's also surveilling everything. It's safer, sure. Like those cars will be driving better than most of these people on the road today. But the next step of its evolution would be its environment. So I believe during this No Kings protest, that was all, funded by corporations and the Waltons, and they set all these Waymos on fire. That was the big picture. They were showing the images, sort of kind of like, do it, right? Because what it's doing, it's studying everything like animals in a sense. Then that's who like we are walking around to the AI, because it's not human. So it's looking at birds in the sky, insects, cars, and it's learning the behavior of us right now. So it's fascinating. It's all data collection and the energy to fuel it too. We're going to be fueling it. And this is going to get a little, out there, but on the Economist magazine cover, it's showing all the Ozempic pills. That's what those are, at least according to...
Yeah, they're moving to pill format from the other ones.
Yes, they're moving from the injection, I shouldn't even say that, but the pill format to the Ozempic. But the thing with Ozempic is that it makes people not want to really eat, I hear here, right? And going back to these energy credits, that was what it's all about, conserving energy. And that, what went online is you'll get the meal of your little energy cube that you can eat. That'll get the humans throughout the day so it can conserve all the energy it can, because the AI doesn't need food. The AI just needs water, this nuclear, the fusion, it just needs energy, but you don't need to feed it, but it does need water.
Yeah, I was looking at just the definition because it's like simplifies it a little bit, but it says fusion is the process where two light atomic nuclei combine to form a single heavier nucleus, releasing immense energy, the same reaction powering the sun and stars. Scientists aim to replicate this on Earth for a clean, abundant energy source, but it requires extreme temperatures, millions of degrees, and pressures to overcome the nuclei's natural repulsion, creating a superheated charged gas called plasma. I mean, it sounds kind of complicated, but like I was also listening to a few experts talking about how I think it has to do with this tech where a traditional nuke BOMB, creates like radiation and fallout, but fusion technology can create explosions that has no fallout. So there's like a lot of like war benefits as well, but I think the main point is it's an energy race, and the AI needs energy, and it needs abundant energy. And as we move on the curve to 2030 to 2045, the cost per unit of energy will decline. So we're going to be in a super abundant free energy stage. And I really don't think, just like now in 10, 20 years, if we look in the past, our lives are nothing like they used to be at all. I mean, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Like my life was like completely different versus how it's so technologically focused now. I just really don't think we even can comprehend the scale of that transition and where that is headed and the impacts that it will have. Again, for Elon Musk to say poverty will be eradicated, which I'm not saying I believe that, and you won't need to save money because everything will be abundant. I think what he's really saying is that just like now, even people that aren't so-called like wealthy, we really are, because we live at a point in history where we have roofs over heads, typically, air conditioning, transportation, food, healthcare, all those things where you're living better. Even if you're on the lower end, you're living better than the kings did 1,000 years ago. So that's the perspective I think Elon is saying. Of course, not everyone's going to be rich like an oligarch.
Well, I think it's you'll own nothing and be happy. Why will we be happy? Why will it be high income? That's because we're going to be plugged into the matrix of a simulacra of a king. So like you were talking about a while ago about the movie Ready Player One, I believe that was another Spielberg film. And he did the AI movie as well. But they are plugged into this computer kind of game, like the simulacra, where you'll be able to go to the sports games and sit front row, right? For the Super Bowl. I think the Super Bowl that's coming up in a couple months, they're going to push the Oculus where you can be front row and watch it with the Oculus, and maybe it'll cost $100 or something. But I think that will be like that's it, because there's this new Time magazine issue that was just released of Person of the Year, and they awarded all the AI people. I read it. It was so boring, but you taught us to see between the trees, right? Whatever, the forest between
the forest
Christmas
between,
trees.
exactly.
And they brought up some key points in this long, boring article. And one of that was, you're going to be a king with the AI. And I think that's what it was hinting at, was that because people are going to be plugged into the Borg, they're going to be in a different, like the Matrix.
Yeah, it's kind of an illusion. It's like eating a fake steak, thinking it tastes really good, but it's not real. What do you choose? The fake alternative reality simulation, or do you choose the hard-hitting real life? And we won't go much longer to keep this video tight. We will have more updates. We're gonna be shooting some additional content today, so make sure you're following both of us. Why don't you give them your, again, Twitter or X.
You can find me at Donut, DOENUT.
There you go. And also at YouTube, of course. And then also, I'll leave you just with a prediction. I believe that the elites will make a major announcement of a scientific discovery, some kind of big technological advancement that has never happened before in history. This is I've said it for some time, but the prediction will happen very soon. It could be like a cure for something, or new free abundant energy that they've discovered, something along those lines, because they have to sell the illusion of what you said, the simulacra, in the simulation, so to speak, to get you to the next phase of events where they're taking populations. So we love you. Stay tuned. More videos coming. Donut Factory, General Greene. Please leave a comment, question, share, like. Make sure you subscribe. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, and we'll be talking to all of you soon.